Hi, my name is Alex Dolphin and welcome back to another episode of Ex Ante. Today we're going to discuss the case State v. Reeves. This case was heard in the Supreme Court of Tennessee in the year 1996. Let's go ahead and jump into the facts of the case. So there were two middle schoolers, 12-year-old girls, that despised their teacher. And so they hatched a diabolical plan to kill their teacher. Their plan was that they were going to put rat poison in her coffee cup when she wasn't looking. And then she would drink this rat poison and she would die. That was their goal. And then they were going to steal her car and ride off into the sunset. So pretty diabolical plan, but I mean, they're 12-year-olds, right? Anyways, one day they decide to put this plan into action. And one of the girls packs rat poison with her in her bag. Now, this girl's on the bus going to school that morning, and she turns to another girl, the girl that's sitting next to her, and she says, "Hey, look at this rat poison. We're going to kill our teacher." And that girl acted very reasonably and responsibly and said, "This is crazy." You know, she was okay in the scenario, but as soon as she got to school, she reported it to her teacher, and her teacher reported it to the principal. So the principal is notified that these two girls are trying to kill their teacher with rat poison. So they basically ring the alarm and they let the people know. Well, anyways, when the teacher comes into her room, she sees the two girls kind of leaning over her coffee cup and giggling. And then they go run back and sit in their chair. So that's the facts. These two girls are then charged with attempted second-degree murder. And so this is an inchoate offense. So this is an incomplete offense. So these two girls are being prosecuted for the attempt of the murder of their teacher. And at trial, they're found delinquent. So not guilty because they're not adults, but delinquent. They appeal this, and it goes all the way to the Supreme Court of Tennessee. And the Supreme Court of Tennessee is grappling with the criminal statute in that state that governs attempt. And what classifies as an attempt to commit a certain crime. Now, the Tennessee legislature had adopted language that's very analogous to the Model Penal Code. And I'll just read that. It says, the conduct constitutes a substantial step towards the commission of the offense. So they're saying an attempt is any conduct which constitutes a substantial step towards the commission of the offense or the actual crime. So the trial court found that, by them taking this poison to school and then actually walking into school with it and going into the classroom and giggling over the coffee cup, those were substantial steps. They had taken a substantial step towards the commission of the murder of their teacher. And for that reason, they are totally on the hook for an attempted murder. Now, these girls and their attorney appeal this, and they're arguing that, this is not, there was still another act that needed to be completed for these girls to actually have, attempted to murder their teacher. And they're saying the last act that needed to be committed was them actually putting the poison in the coffee cup. They never did that. So because they didn't put the poison in the coffee cup, this isn't really an attempt. And they try to draw that line and say, well, they were preparing, but they had not yet attempted to murder their teacher because they had not put the poison in the coffee cup. And the court kind of quickly dispatches that argument. They say that the legislature, was kind of going away from the older common law approach and adopting a more liberal model penal code approach, where anything that constitutes a substantial step towards the commission of a crime is enough to constitute an attempt for criminal liability. So they affirm the delinquent verdict on these two girls, and they say that, this was an attempted murder in the second degree. Now, there's one dissenter who says, hey, I agree with all your reasoning, but these are 12-year-old girls. It's kind of ridiculous to, put this type of weight on the actions of 12-year-old girls. They are very young. And so I agree with your reasoning. I agree with your interpretation of the statute, but just your application here, you lacked a little bit of mercy. So it's an interesting case. It's interesting to think about attempts and what the law is trying to do when it criminalizes attempts. To think a little bit more about this case, imagine if the girls had, taken the poison, same set of facts, except for they hadn't, told the girl next to her on the bus. So there's no alarm rung at the school. No one knows except for the two girls. And the two girls get to the classroom. They walk up to her coffee cup. They have the poison in their bag. But at that moment, they just kind of have a moment of clarity. Something strikes them and they say, you know what, we don't really want to kill our teacher. We can't do this. We're not going to go through with it. They go and sit back down at their desks. Now, if security cameras showed this footage and it later came out, would that be enough for you to say that it was an attempted murder? Was it an attempted murder if they walked up to the coffee cup, looked at it, and then chickened out? And I think that's an interesting question to grapple with, and I think that there's not much of a clear answer on it. There still was another act that these girls needed to commit before there really could have been an actual murder. There was a last act, the last proximate act, and that's how the common law dealt with this. So in the common law, these girls certainly would not have been held liable for an attempted murder. But in this scenario, because of the more liberal approach of the model penal code, where it's a substantial step, anything that the prosecutor can argue and that the jury will be convinced of is a substantial step is enough to convict on an attempt. And you can just see how the MPC is much more liberal about inchoate offenses and about attempt responsibility. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye-bye.